It is the 10th of February, it's 2 p.m. and that means we are live. Hello everybody, welcome to Start at Frame 1. Very happy you made it. My name is Andy, I'm a 2D animator and illustrator working as a freelancer from sunny Barcelona. And today we gonna have a look at a new software which is free. It's completely free, it's open source, and it's called KRITA. I think it's called KRITA. Maybe you call it KRITA or KRITA or whatever, but it's spelled K-R-I-T-A. It's a drawing software, so you don't have to animate necessarily in the tool, so it could be a great alternative to Photoshop. Maybe. We're gonna have a look. But before we're gonna do that, we gonna have a small recap on our last episode to see where we left off our animation the last time we were streaming, and discuss where we're gonna go from there on and what we are gonna cover in this stream for today. So, hope you're ready. I am. I think so. And let's have a look. We did a kickflip animation 2 stream episodes back. This is the result we got so far. We got the cleanup. We got everything pretty much like we wanted. Although we didn't finish the whole animation during the stream, we got a fair piece of the final animation in the stream. What I did afterwards to make it actually the way it looks right now, I added more in-between frames, so the animation looks more fluent as the kickflip and all the movements that we see in the animation are quite fast. I thought it would be a good idea to try to do the whole thing on once, which means every drawing is 1 frame. Every second has 24 frames. So here actually you see close to 24 drawings that are flipping through the screen. So, the actual idea behind this kickflip was to animate an illustrated character of mine that we already made walking in the very first episode of the stream. And because I never did an animation in a kickflip animation, I wanted to make sure I first get the movements right, the poses, whatever I need. We were doing this with a fairly realistic character, but then the actual task was to adapt our illustrated character to this animation. So let's see how far we got there. This is what we made last time. We got basically all details we want in the animation. We got the movement, we got the kickflip, everything turns out fine. We got a great suggestion via comments to push the kicking foot even further out, which we did last time as well. I like it very much, so again, thumbs up for the comment and the suggestion. And today we wanna redo this animation, or refine this animation, better said. That maybe we can put in both of our animations. So our more realistic approach is way more fluent. That has to do with the amount of drawings that you see in this second of animation. So this tentacle boy only has half of the drawings than our more realistic skateboarder. And that's actually what we want to do today. We want to add in those drawings in between the drawings we already have. And that's why they're called in-betweens. And to do those, we wanna try KRITA. So that said, I think we are set for our stream. But before I do, I get to go to the part where I remind you that if you like, comment, subscribe, or spread the word about this stream, you're helping me out to reach more people, to get more opinions, and help me to grow this channel where I actually just want to share with you my learning curve in 2D animation, as I'm completely self-taught. I think I'm now at a level where I can already give back to people that are starting right now. And during the stream, I hope there's gonna be some progress in my animation skills. So yeah, subscribe, like, comment, whatever you feel like. And as I said before, I'm very open for suggestions. Anything that is disturbing during the stream or whatever, let me know. Be kind though, and let's build this format together. All right. So this is KRITA, and for this episode, actually, let me see if it works. I wanted to try some music. Okay. What do you think? Is it working? Hey Cairo John 461, hello to you too. Very nice you joined the stream. Can you tell me if the music is all right? The voice, you can hear me fairly good, and the music isn't too loud. I try to level it out as good as possible. Guess who's back? The cool teeth. Hey Tommy. Alright, I chose this channel for music. It's mostly the music that I listen when I don't have any idea where to go to, and I'm just through with all my podcasts and playlists. And I found this copyright-free channel on Spotify. So you see on top of the face cam, you see the artists and so. So because I thought, well, at least I could share who we are listening to support the artist. And Jordi Sorribas is in the house. Yeah. Nice. Okay, let's try to get an idea of KRITA. So that's what you see when you open the software. I don't know if this is overwhelming to anybody who hasn't opened an animation software at all. Well, the first thing we want to do, to be fair, I opened KRITA yesterday just to make sure I don't screw everything up. I made some tests and so on, but I just gonna act like I've never seen the software. Or at least I can tell you what I learned yesterday, which is important to know. Okay, so let's create a new file here. I just go through whatever I've seen yesterday and is necessary to actually animate. So custom document, I want to have, let's make it a little bit bigger. All the rest is fine. Resolution, I kept it on 72 for screen. And here we go. So now the first thing that I was missing when I opened it was the timeline. But before we go into that, it seems like you already can use the software as it is right now. You get some layers here. Here are all your layers. You get the colors. Here's something that I, at the beginning, thought is some kind of a timeline without any frames or whatsoever in it. We get here, we get our toolbar. I haven't tried, not even close to all the tools. I just looked up what is the most important thing that we're gonna need to be able to animate today. And that's it. Here up there are a few things. I saw the eraser up here. There was no eraser here. Well, so when I tried to animate, I figured like there's no timeline. So normally you find those things on the window when you work with Photoshop or the Adobe Creative Cloud or Creative Suite. I don't know how they call it today, the Creative Cloud. But there's nothing in here. So apparently in KRITA those are called dockers. Everything you see on the user interface. So on the dockers I found a timeline. And once I toggle that on, I get this, which looks quite familiar when you when you've worked in Adobe Animate. So you got your frames here, and somehow you're gonna be able to put in keyframes. Here are my layers represented that I also have in here. I still have those just to go through the timeline. I see here some kind of onion, which is gonna be helpful afterwards when we're gonna start to animate. And what else do we need? Basically, I would say that's everything we do for now. I already changed some of my shortcuts, as I think this is such an important thing. That's what I always do at the beginning when I start with the program, reinstall programs, whatever. I want to make sure that I have the right shortcuts, as I prefer to work basically as much as possible with shortcuts, so I forget about clicking or whatsoever. The only thing I want to click on is the canvas and draw, if it's possible. So you to change your shortcuts, you're going to go to settings, configure KRITA, and there you have the keyboard shortcuts. There's a whole other stuff going on here, which I didn't look at all. So we're gonna see if we will need some of that stuff once we start with our animation. What the I don't know if MIB, what's that? 28.1. I hope this is not some, no. At the beginning I thought it's megabyte because I heard it's not vector based and it's pixel based, the program. It could get quite large, but we will see. Okay, so now we wanna get the animation that we did last time. And I found one way, I don't know if it's the only way. On the file, I found import animation frames. And when you click at that, you can add apparently various frames. So as I exported a image sequence of our last animation that we did in Photoshop, I already have this in a folder here. And I'm gonna get all my drawings in here. I hope it's the right order. We will see. It starts with 000 down here, ascending, which could mean he starts here and then goes up. All right, we will try. Start at 0. Okay, step 1. Source frames per second, 24 frames per second. I suppose this is how many frames one drawing is gonna occupy. Let's, as we animated it on 2s, I'll choose 2. And now let's see what's happening. So from now on, this is complete improvisation, and I hope we won't screw it up. So now he's importing. Oh, look, this looks good. We have our frames down here. This is our timeline. He added a new layer for the imported images, so this one should be empty. We deleted. Okay, and let's see. Okay, this looks weird. But apparently he imported everything the right way. The only thing that's weird is this one and this one. They are switched. I will wonder if I just can drag them to the right position. Okay, so one of the settings I prepared for today on the shortcuts is by hitting enter, I push the play button. I do it right now with the pen. Works good. Only problem is we're probably gonna need an empty keyframe to make sure the last drawing will disappear as well. So let's see. So I activate. This is my last drawing here. Hope you see that. Yeah. And I wanted one frame, and then afterwards I wanted to be gone. As he disappears, he's gonna be out the canvas, right? So here are different kind of options. This is the create blank frame, which at the beginning was a little bit confusing, as in anime they call it a blank keyframe. And if I understand a blank frame, it seems like I'm adding a new frame to the existing keyframe, which would mean in this case here, for example, in Animate, if you add a blank frame, it just pushes all the keyframes a little bit further down the timeline. But here, a blank frame is a blank frame, a keyframe. So let's move the cursor. Now you see this icon here. This is apparently the symbol for a keyframe. And as it's not filled or not colored, we suppose it's empty. And it's empty. So now if we hit play, what? He disappears. Another thing that I figured out when I tried it yesterday, is a thing that's a little bit weird is this. If you want to go through the timeline, you have to make sure you stay in this small area, I think. Because if I go here, I start to drag the keyframe that is active here. But if we go to the background, we can get some kind of a in and out. We draw some kind of a bracket in the timeline to tell the area that we want to be shown, which is pretty cool. Imagining like you only want to have a test with those few frames and see how how this specific movement works. You could only mark a certain area and get the loop. So I found this pretty interesting. I could imagine like it's helpful. We will see further down the road. Okay. Unless nobody's writing anything in the chat, telling me that the music is too loud, disturbing, or whatsoever, I leave all the settings as they are right now. This is the first time we're streaming with background music. Okay. So, also very cool, I think, is when you hover over the keyframes, you see actually a small thumbnail of the image, which I found very, very helpful as well. So you don't have those thumbnails like you have in Photoshop, which occupy just a fair amount of your user interface, and this way it's pretty helpful. Okay, I wanted to jump into a little explanation of so now I shouldn't. Thanks a lot. This is the intelligence of the group. Thanks a lot. Okay, I go back. Those are because I assume I was muted since I changed the screen. Okay, so this is a not so dramatic list as it was supposed to be now after you saw basically most of the bullet points, but this is a list I tend to use in shortcuts to work as fluent as possible without doing too much of clicking in the user interface and concentrate just on animating. So brush, eraser, those are the two tools that you basically use if you were drawing on paper. And as I always tend to use it on low opacity, it gives me a little bit more flexibility. And I have a low opacity eraser, and to actually erase something the whole completely, you have to go there and erase. So that's why I want to have the lasso tool as well. So if there's some elements that I want to erase completely, I just mark them with the lasso tool and just they're gone. But in general, I try to erase stuff with eraser. So those are the three tools. Then what I want in functions, the blank keyframe on the list should actually be the next keyframe. So I wanted to put in the next keyframe. Then we have previous keyframe. Those are two very important functions, as you can flip through the images to get an idea of your movement of the animation. So next keyframe, previous keyframe. Sometimes you want to have the onion skin. For those of you who completely new to frame by frame animation, onion skin is basically allowing you to have to see the previous in the next or previous or next frames simultaneously while you draw on your actual drawing. And this helps you to get a reference and actually know where your whole movement is heading. We're gonna see this in the process. So the onion skin is quite handy. Then I want the transform tool, as sometimes few elements may be out of proportion or whatsoever, and instead of erasing them and draw them all over again, maybe they're looking good, but they're not the right size that I want them, okay? So, and then I want the blank keyframe. This is actually the blank keyframe and not the one that is that was in a previous bullet point. So blank keyframe and insert frame. Let me explain that. Insert frame is what I said before in Adobe Animate. It's basically to push the keyframes away from each other. So you add frames in between the two keyframes to make the timing of the previous keyframe longer. We get to that. Okay, we get to that. So in KRITA, I had a hard time to find that, but the blank frames, they are called hold frames. Hold frames in the software. And that's basically what I prepared for today in the settings to make sure I can work fluently. I want to get just 1 second to the functions of the next and the previous frame to get an idea of what it means to flip through the images and actually get an idea of the movement by just getting next key, next key, next key, next key, previous, previous, previous. So you just go through it. As this basically is what they did back then when they actually were animating on paper. And I found a very cool clip this morning from Alan Blaze. He is a former Disney animator. And here in this clip, you basically see how he switches through those. Oh, let me see. I have to keep it open. Okay, this is here. Here you actually see how they flip through the pages, through the papers, the paper sheets, and you get an idea of the movement, right? They had some kind of onion skin, as the paper is not completely opaque. It's kind of transparent, so you get. While they were drawing, they had the previous image as a reference, but to actually get an idea how it's gonna look in the movement, they flip through the sheets. And that's what I found pretty helpful as well when you work digitally. And I started to use this technique like a few weeks ago, and it helps a ton. It's impressive. For me, at least, it works pretty good. Okay, now let's see. Let's get back to our KRITA. So basically what we now want to do is fill up all those holes in here between our drawings. And this will get us a sensation of a more fluent movement and animation. So let me see. I just need a quick moment here. All right. Because I just need the reference of our clip that we did as we animated it before, because there were some images that we actually want to have on 2 frames and not on once. Okay, So good. Let's see. What I miss about in KRITA, and I haven't figured out if I can actually configure the software that way, is the option to zoom. In Photoshop, you have this pretty cool, and Photoshop Illustrator, you just push the zoom button, whatever that means to you. For me, it's the set button. And it helps you just by moving your mouse or my pen to the left or to the right, means zoom in, zoom out, which is very organic and feels very natural. Here in KRITA, you don't have this function, at least I haven't found it yet. So I have to go with Control plus and minus to zoom in and zoom out. And another thing, I'm gonna switch to this view whenever I just draw. I think you get the most out of this. And this can be done by pressing the tab button, which is pretty common. I think in Photoshop it's the same. Okay, but to create now a new keyframe, I do it on the user interface, so you can see what I'm doing. So I create a blank frame, which erases the drawing we just saw, because now this is actually only on this frame, the drawing. Before it also has been here, but now we deleted it because we added a blank keyframe. All right. So now we want to activate our onion skin for a second. And here, that was basically the first moment where I fell in love with the software, because I really, yesterday I just played around and I already pretty much liked it. So I thought, well, the onion skin is this guy here, and switch on the onion skin, bam, but then suddenly you get a whole new window. And this window is actually not even activating the onion skin, as we see here in our canvas. To really see the onion skin, you have to toggle this little fella here. And now I see my image and my previous image. They look pretty crappy. They get better. Let me see, do they get better here? I suppose they look that crappy because those drawings weren't made in the software. They're just PNG files, so that could be why they look so crappy. And so with this button toggled on, we can see we get our onion skin function. And what's really cool is you actually can tell the software with the opacity of every keyframe you want to see before or after the drawing you are working on. So check this out. If I get this down and now don't see anything of the previous keyframe, I can get this up as even, I don't know, look at that. This is even more or less transparent as our drawing we're working on. And this is, I didn't know this function. I heard about TV Paint, where you get this function telling the software which kind of frames you want to see, and which is also pretty cool. Those are representing keyframes, so I'm not telling him, okay, the next keyframe is here, so I have to see all of those, and now I'm getting the next keyframe. No, it doesn't matter how far your next keyframe is away. This too is your next keyframe. Look at that. Now we suddenly see what is happening in this frame. If you want to see this frame, Here nothing happens because this is the empty frame I just did for test. So once I get this up, we see this frame. We wanted to have this frame. Basically, we can get most of our whole animation already with the onion skins. I have no idea where you would want to see all this. I can imagine, like, because of the topic with the arcs that we discussed in the last episode, you probably want to have some keyframes so you actually see the tendency where the movement is going here. But we're gonna see where else is gonna be handy this function. For right now, I think I'm fine with this. And I'm wondering, well, actually this drawing is the same. The in-between in here is actually the same drawing, just moving down. Let's see, I'm just going through my reference here. Okay, so the first 3 drawings are a remove keyframe here. So you see now we only have this keyframe. This frame here is basically representing the same keyframe. So here now I wanna I don't know if I can just duplicate. Look here, is this duplicate? Add duplicate frame. Okay, you have to go onto an empty frame. When you push duplicate frame, it just duplicates the last keyframe before your wherever you are in the timeline, and that's what we want. So now I want to see my next frame and position, well, the previous as well. And now I'm just gonna position this one in between. So those are basically the same. I think I want to bring in another window here. Now let's leave it like that. Okay, so for our animation, the next keyframe is where our tentacle boy is lifting, is already taking off. But before that one, we want some anticipation. Anticipation means that we want to have, okay, let's see. I'm now turning on with the B. I push the button B, I get my brush. Here I can get down my opacity. As I said before, I tend to work with lower opacity, so I just can get a better, it works better for me when I work to get a specific arc or more organic shape. Okay, we want to have, oh, the color wheel is also pretty cool. I like that. But I think in Photoshop you can also get a color wheel. And now I want to see, wow, look at the presets, size, whatever. Okay, this is a little bit overwhelming for now. Let's just leave it how it is. Okay, so we are starting, finally. So this is so helpful. Now I just can bring down the opacity of the onion skin as it kind of is disturbing. Okay, so to get some anticipation for the movement where he starts to lift up, we want to have him get down. So he's approaching the stair or whatever he's gonna jump, and before he gets out, he gets down even more, so he can rise up with more energy. So he goes down and then suddenly pushes up. Okay,